Despite all the trade rumors and despite all the false narratives indicating that he's not star material, the Thunder just showed its full commitment to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the crown jewel of their franchise's rebuild by signing him to a 5-year $172 million rookie max extension this past offseason. And as a huge OKC fan myself, I can definitely say that Shai deserves every single penny from that extension after watching him evolve into an all-star caliber player. Cause for those who didn't know, last season, SGA put up 23.7 points, 5.9 assists, and 4.7 rebounds per game while shooting at least 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line, which numbers and efficiency have only been matched by 3 other players last season in Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Zach LaVine. So with OKC already having that kind of elite young player to build around, the logical goal this 2022 season is definitely to figure out who among the team's other young players could become the best complementary piece for SGA in the long run. And so far, despite still being way too early in the season, it looks like it's the 19-year-old Australian rookie Josh Giddey who's emerging as the prime candidate to take over that role, as after OKC's first 8 regular season games, Giddey is averaging a well-rounded 10.5 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, which ranks 3rd among all rookies, and 6.1 assists per game, which leads all rookies, and which also ranks 13th best in the entire NBA. So what's good guys, it's Real Balls here, and today we'll talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey. I mean, how good have they actually been so far in the season, and why these two guys could potentially form OKC's backcourt of the future. But before we move on, if you do enjoy these types of content, please do me a favor by hitting that like button, as it definitely helps the channel a lot. It only takes a second of your time, but it definitely goes a long way, and it will be much appreciated. So let's get to it. Last season, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander definitely transformed into an elite young player while stepping up as the leader of a young OKC team, and without a doubt, it was his driving game which really put the league on notice, as Shai's 25.2 drives per game led the entire NBA, and the 13.1 points per game he scored on those drives also ranked second only behind De'Aaron Fox. Well, sure, you can attribute his production to him playing quite a small sample size of only 35 games due to injury, which could mean teams didn't really have a lot of chances to implement different kinds of game plans to potentially slow him down towards the end of the year. But so far this season, the thing is, SGA is proving that his ability to create shots at the rim isn't really a fluke, as despite OKC having already played a couple of games this season against top 10 defensive teams like the Warriors, the Jazz, and the Clippers, and despite him being double teamed or triple teamed like never before, SGA is currently converting a remarkable 70.4% of all his shots at the rim, with Ja Morant, Zach LaVine, and Luka Doncic being the only guys to put up better shooting numbers than him from that area this season. But I think what's even more impressive is that, despite not having the flair of Doncic or the burst and explosiveness of both Morant and LaVine, Shai is still able to get to the rim at his own terms and make shots on the interior at a very high level. And how exactly is he able to do that? Well, the thing is, despite not having that kind of over-the-top run and jump athletic ability, Shai is still gifted with elite handles, great body control, and a 6'11" wingspan, and the combination of those elements just makes him one heck of an isolation type of scorer. Just like in this clip, watch how Shai splits the hard drop coverage by using the screen. He uses a simple change of pace dribble to get past Anthony Davis, then with an open driving lane now available, he does a quick sidestep before making the tough end-one finish against 3 Laker defenders. And again here in semi-transition, watch how he does a simple left-to-right crossover to shake off his defender, then he just uses his long strides, does a quick Euro step, and makes the tough shot against contact. Well, in those kinds of plays, you can just see how almost unstoppable Shai is when he's driving downhill, as he has already sort of mastered the ability to leverage his length together with his elite ball handling and body twitching ability in order to manufacture shots at the rim even against the toughest of defenses. As a result, Shai currently ranks first in the entire NBA in terms of isolation scoring with 8.5 isolation points per game, which proves how much of a self-sufficient shot creator he actually is. But what's even more interesting is the fact that this season marks the first time in his career wherein Shai isn't taking most of his shots at the rim, as he's currently attempting most of his shots from the 3-point line instead. Currently, 37.5% of all his shot attempts have come from behind the arc, which is a huge jump from his first 2 seasons in OKC, wherein 3-point shots only made up 27.4% of his total shot output. Basically, Shai is now choosing to create more of his own shots from behind the arc as a counter response to defenders who are assuming that he's simply going to drive to the rim like he typically did before. And so far, the increased shot volume from deep has definitely produced great results for him, as Shai currently ranks third in the entire league in self-created 3-point shots made at 2.3 per game, only behind Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. Well, another thing is, Shai had already displayed the ability to drain tough 3-pointers a lot of times before, but he's definitely taking it to a whole nother level this time around, as the numbers indicate that Shai is also starting to make shots from extended 3-point range more consistently as well. As per NBA Advanced Statistics, this season, Shai is converting 38.2% of all his 3-point attempts within 25 to 29 feet of the basket, which puts him in the 67th percentile among all players attempting at least 4 3-point attempts per game from that extended 3-point range. And we basically saw him drain a couple of those long 3-pointers during OKC's 2 wins against the Lakers, which included that cold-blooded dagger that he launched from center court during the second Lakers game. So to put it simply, SGA is just growing at an offensive pace, which leaves defenses with very few options when it comes to guarding him. I mean, what's even more impressive I think is that he's shooting way above league average from the 2 most important spots on the floor in today's NBA as well. He's shooting 70% at the rim and 39% from the 3-point line, despite the fact that the rest of OKC's roster doesn't exactly help pull defenses away from him, since the Thunder as a team only ranked 28th in 3-point percentage. So just imagine how much more efficient SGA would be once guys like Lu Dort or Darius Bazley start to up their 3-point percentages, which currently stand at 23% and 25% respectively, considering that those guys are OKC's 2 most frequent outside shooters after Shai. But for sure, sooner or later, defenses will get even tighter and double teams against Shai will come more often. So I think this is where you would expect someone like Josh Giddey with his 6'9" frame, advanced playmaking skills, and emerging shot creation ability to come in and be a consistent secondary playmaker and shot creator for the Thunder. And so far, I think you just can't ask for anything better than what Giddey has been doing, at least on the playmaking end. Right now, he ranks 12th overall in the league in assists per game, but also among all players classified as wings, Giddey's 32.6 assist percentage and 1.38 assist to usage ratio both rank in the 100th percentile of the league, which simply means he's the best playmaking wing so far this season. And if it weren't for OKC's subpar scoring as a team, I think Giddey would already have been ranking in the top 5 in assists per game right now, even as a rookie. But on the other hand, what I really like about what OKC is doing right now is that they're mostly putting Giddey in situations like side pick and rolls or dribble handoffs where he's able to use his elite passing instincts a little bit more, as opposed to having him initiate offense against structured defenses right away, wherein defenders can easily hound him from the point of attack. But regardless, Giddey has just been so effective as a playmaker so far, which you definitely understand better once you watch him play. Just like in this clip, Dort initiates the dribble handoff to Giddey from the top of the key, and by using the pick, Giddey is able to create a driving lane for himself, forcing the Lakers defense to collapse in the paint, which allows him to deliver a nice interior pass to Derek Favors for the finish. And here, coming from Theo Maledon's handoff, Giddey immediately reads and reacts to the hard drop coverage. Then once the defense collapses on him, he uses the very tiny space to deliver the precise pass to his roll man for the easy finish at the rim. I mean, in those kinds of plays, you can just see Giddey's advanced playmaking, elite court vision, and defensive manipulation abilities all on full display. And with both the stats and the eye test suggesting that he's already one of the most productive and efficient playmakers in the league right now, I think you can say that he really has the potential to become an elite NBA level offensive initiator in the long run. But on the other hand, Giddey isn't an efficient scorer yet, as currently he's only shooting 41.7% from the field, which is 3 points below the league average, and a lot of that has got to do with his poor 28.6% shooting clip from 3 and his mediocre 54.5% shooting clip at the rim. Well, honestly, this kind of subpar shooting from a 19-year-old after his first NBA games while playing for the second worst offensive team in the league I think isn't exactly something to be worried about, but to be able to significantly maximize his impact, I think Giddey definitely has to show progress in at least one of those scoring areas in order for him to be a reliable source of offense moving forward, which I think he can definitely do as the season progresses. But what I really like about him is that he seems to have already found a safety go-to move, which is his floater. As per NBA Advanced Statistics, Giddey's 41.4% clip on floater shots currently ranks as the best percentage in the league among all 32 players who have taken at least 10 of those shots so far. Also, for a 6'9" guy, you also gotta love that Giddey is slowly showing progress as a shot shot creator in the paint. Watching him play, I think is already starting to figure out how to use his size, footwork, and touch all together in order to make shots in the interior. Just like in this clip, as soon as he gets switched to Paul George, he uses a quick cross, then he just drives straight downhill and is able to finish the shot above the rim. And here, watch how he uses the Mike Muscala pick in order to split the pick and roll defense. He uses his long strides to create separation, then he uses his soft touch to make the tough shot against contact. So as you can see, contrary to the expectations, Giddey is showing that he actually has NBA level burst and that he already has the ability to use his height and skills in order to manufacture interior shots, which is definitely something you'd expect from a 6'9" guy. And adding a little bit more muscle in the future should just help him make such kind of shots more efficiently. And lastly, for a guy who was expected to be a bad defender early on at the NBA level, Giddey is also actually doing a great job in terms of rotating on defense, staying in front of his man, and playing the passing lanes. Overall, he's just showing tremendous feel in terms of being at the right place at the right time during defensive possessions. Well, sure, Giddey's not a lockdown defender by any means yet, but he actually ranks 12th in steals in the entire NBA with 1.6 per game, and that just shows his potential to develop into at least a solid team defender in the long run. I mean, the size, the basketball IQ, the feel for the game, all these things are already there for him, and once he gets used to the pace of the NBA and once he figures out the most efficient ways to get his shot going, I think Giddey could really emerge as a potential star for the Thunder. But for sure, there's just no telling what this OKC team is gonna look like next season or when all the pieces of the next contending Thunder team will exactly fall into place. But when you already got an elite scorer in SGA and an elite playmaker in Josh Giddey as part of your young core, I think it's safe to say that the rebuild is pretty much right on schedule, which means winning might not be that far ahead anymore for OKC. Thank you guys if you made it this far into the video. Make sure to drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and a huge shout out to all my fellow Thunder fans out there. Again, this is Real Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.